I feel like this is the quietest month since January in terms of big releases that we've had.
I would say so.
But I don't
Yeah,
think
I
that
mean,
detracts
well,
from the quality of them.
no,
Definitely not.
absolutely not. I'm taking this one.
Go for it.
Loveless have dropped their debut album titled Loveless I.
How could I let you know? Been so misled, holding up to show.
Little band that I found, I believe, through Discover Weekly, and then put Justin onto them, who has
This is your fault.
loved them. Yep, I will take full responsibility. And all of us since, I feel like in some way or another have found something to love about this band. Now that the album is out, how are y'all feeling about it?
Yeah, it's safe to say that this band, Julian, just they have a really good sound and a really good mix of what they can do, especially with like the slower songs like Don't Miss You Anymore. A lot of it kind of feels a little bit poppier, which is good because that pop punk sound we
Yeah.
don't really usually get a lot nowadays. I feel like there's definitely a really good diversity in this album. The only thing that sets me apart from this album is that there isn't like a story from start to finish.
So you would prefer something like a
concept album?
album?
Not particularly. This does it right where it's a collection of singles that's been throughout this entire band's period. But I would love to see what they can do with a concept album, and making a story from start to finish, or a topic that is run or that shows itself all throughout the album. I feel like having that to play around with could definitely be really interesting, but by no means does that deteriorate from what this album is. It's just really good.
So I will take that and raise you that I think there is a story in this album. I think that, well, maybe not as much a story as a theme, perhaps, of kind of love and loss. Almost, I feel like, and not like loss in terms of somebody like passing away, but you were with this person, and then almost similar to a No Good Left to Give by Movements in a way, just like a little less depressing. That like you've got a relationship that had its highs and now it's ended, and you're trying to maybe not like cope or come to terms with, but you're dealing with that loss of this person was important to me and kind of my rock, and like I would do anything for them, and now I'm learning to navigate life without them. And then like the end of the album, sort of like with 1,000 Reasons, kind of culminates as like, I've come to terms with it. I've got my own things to work out, but I'm not dependent on that person anymore. I think that Sun is probably the best indication for me of that. I think that's the right song anyway. Let me pull up the lyrics real quick before I completely butcher it. I believe. Hold on. Yes, I still remember everything you like, following your footsteps in my mind, tearing up the pages that I write, because every line I read is through your eyes. That, like, I am still afflicted by my memories of the time with that person, and they influence the way that I see things. It's not necessarily that the theme is, like, start to finish, like a story, like you were mentioning, Justin, that, like, that journey isn't documented throughout the album the same way that it would be with, like, a Movements, but that it's still present throughout the album, I feel like. And if it's not, and that's not intentional, then that's all the much more that I'm enjoying this album, because I'm able to get something personal out of it, In terms of just like overall music, I really, really liked this a lot more than I was anticipating with the singles. Because Justin, I showed you this band and you ran with it, and you were way, way higher on it than I was in terms of the singles and everything. And for whatever reason, hearing them in the context of the album and getting to revisit them really gave them a new life for me. I ended up saving most all but what I think 2 or 3 of the songs on this album.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
for
don't.
for reference, you sent, I believe it was For You when that came out. So only 2 singles of this band had come out, and I really enjoyed it. I think I was also kind of watching when Lighthouse came out. I think that's when I really just started to hit the ground running.
Wasn't
with
Lighthouse
them.
like one of your favorite songs of last year?
It was one of my top 5.
Yeah.
I think it was top 3. I want to say top 3.
What is your guys' favorite track?
1,000 Reasons. Easy.
Let you know.
I don't know if I can count Exile. I'm gonna say Exile.
That's what
It's
I was
on-
gonna
it's on the
say.
album.
Can I count
Man.
Exile?
Oh my goodness, dude, that first bit till the choruses kick in, like the verse 1 and verse 2, are probably, just thinking real quick, yeah, they're my favorite thing I've heard all year. Probably, maybe not like the song as a whole per se, but like those moments.
Oh, I would say the song as a whole.
I sit there and I'll replay those moments, kind of like that. 2 different styles of music, but how I'd go back and listen to that breakdown from Lorna Shore over and over again. It's sort of the same thing here, where I would just have to go back and listen to those bits over and over again. Which I also didn't realize at the time that I listened to it that it was a Taylor Swift cover, which like really bothers me because I have the original song saved and listened to it like relatively often. And I just had no idea until somebody on Twitter pointed it out, which I think is a testament to making a cover your own, you know.
Yeah.
If I can't pick Exile, it's probably Sun or Haunting Me.
If I can't pick Exile, it's 1,000 Reasons. I'm with Jake.
That's another one that came out as a single and I wasn't super high on it and I wanted to be, and then I heard it on the album and it was just like, wow.
Which by the way, that echoes about what I was gonna say. Any of the singles that came out that with the album release, you are now more of a fan of. I know Derek said 1,000 Reasons. I would say Better, mainly because it was the first single released, and hearing that again in kind of a new take with a bunch of other songs lined up to it, it's definitely got some staying power.
I have to say this again. I said it last time when we reviewed 1,000 Reasons, but since Julian's in the chat, I gotta say it. My mom likes 1,000 Reasons, and
Hell
I just
yeah.
had to say it.
Yeah, you know, 1,000 Reasons being a another one of the singles I was high on. You've also, I know I mentioned in when we were talking about 1,000 Reasons that I wasn't as into Smile. Smile clicked with me. Down Again clicked with me. Lighthouse clicked with me. I mean, just better clicked with me. All the singles that I just like could not connect with as much as I wanted to, like all clicked in the context of the album. And well, no, I take that back. I still don't like Someone Else. Someone Else is actually my least favorite track on this album, and it's ironically, we were talking earlier about how Kellen Quinn is like a god tier feature. The Kellen Quinn feature on Someone Else is my least favorite moment on this album, which like sucks because I want to like it more, you know.
There is a reimagined of Someone Else coming out, and
Yes,
Jillian's been posting snippets of it, and it sounds really good. I feel like that will probably be much better than Someone Else. I still really enjoy Someone Else, but I feel like the reimagined is just gonna.
There's an easy fix. I put all the songs into a Spotify playlist. I take the reimagined version, put it as track 6. We play the album. It's fine. Everybody, we're good.
You
Go
did
home.
that with the fucking Slaves album,
yeah.
and they went back and changed.
Slaves with
Yeah.
good heavy.
Yeah.
That's what that playlist is still one of my favorite things.
So Julian's just gonna replace Someone Else with the reimagined.
Yeah, I think this overall for me, this album was very much a pleasant surprise. A couple tracks on here, mainly For You, Let You Know, and like I mentioned, Someone Else that I'm not quite as high on. But with me not clicking with the singles, I went with very muddled expectations into this album. And it took me a couple listens to really get into it. But now that I've heard it, I'm hooked. Like this is low-key sitting at like the bottom half of my top 10 right now. After I said on release night that, you know, it's going to get close, but it won't crack my top 10. I think making those revisits really helped me appreciate the album a bit more.
I feel
That's
like that's a
definitely hard to
good
do.
way to transition into my thoughts since I've stayed kind of
Yeah.
quiet up to
Yeah.
this
yeah.
point.
I'm curious to hear what you think.
Yeah, this is also currently sitting at like the bottom of my top 10 albums of the year so far, and I don't expect it to stay. But let me explain what's good, in my opinion, first, before I get to that. 1,000 Reasons is still my favorite track on this album, and it is not close.
Okay.
Throughout all of the singles that came prior to this album for me, they were all good. But, like, Someone Else was probably my favorite. I really liked Haunting Me, but, like, other than that, I wasn't really clicking with them. 1,000 Reasons comes out and is by far, like, instantly. I don't even have to hear the full song, and it's my favorite thing that I've heard from this band. And then being able to go back to a lot of the singles that I didn't really appreciate as a single in the album, I definitely think I like them, but not enough to make me go back to them consistently. Like, I can't tell you a thing about what Better For You or Down Again sounds like at this point. I have genuinely no idea what they sound like off memory. And
Well,
considering,
just go
like,
listen to it. No,
well,
just
yeah,
kidding.
I could just go listen to it. But the fact that those songs are just so unmemorable to me, I feel like that's a really big hit to an otherwise really good album. Like, other than those three songs, I really enjoyed just about everything I heard on this song. The songs that were left out as singles, Let You Know, Control, I Don't Miss You Anymore, those songs are all like 3 of my 5 favorites outside of 1,000 Reasons and Haunting Me. So you save the best for the full release, if you ask me. But a lot of those singles, like, even after revisiting them in the context of the album, they just haven't really worked for me. Just have not clicked. I don't know if they will, but outside of that one small kind of disappointment for me, this album's really solid.
So
Especially
how
for a
many?
debut.
Sorry. Oh yeah, that is a excellent point to make. This is a debut album. We have bands out here on their like 3rd, 4th, 5th album that aren't putting out material as good as this. And I feel like the variation on it, it opens the doors for like future whatever it's called, future material. Right? Like there's enough variation here that the next album can take a potentially completely different direction. Like, I feel like it's a very versatile album.
Loveless deathcore album.
Yo, when
Julian just started doing screams.
Julian joins Lorna Shore, and the rest is history. Jake, I wanted to ask you, how many times have you heard the album?
I only listened to it in full that once, but I have gone back to like the other individual singles to see if they've grown on me.
Because something I will say to your point about not being able to say anything about Better or Down Again. I can, but it's because I've heard them like 8 billion times after the album released. But I could say the same about For You or Let You Know, which really, I'm wondering if it's like, how do I put this? That you would well, obviously you would remember the track more the more you listen to it, right? But
Yeah.
like, I feel like there may be a general theme, and this is like kind of like a gripe almost, that the songs sometimes muddle together in a way that, like, if you like the individual track, you're going to go back and re-listen to it, and then it gets its own identity, but like off the rip, some of the songs kind of blend together. You know? Does that make sense? Like,
I
if you,
think
like,
I got it.
because you know what? That's why it took me so many re-listens, is because if I just heard the album for the first time only, then I feel like half the tracks I wouldn't be able to tell you much about, because they're all good, but they didn't have that something that jumped out at me, you know. And then the more time I spent with it, the more time I recognized it. But
I almost feel like it's a bit of my fault, because every song on this album is in my playlist. It's just that those early singles are all the way back in my playlist when we first discovered this band.
yeah,
And I refused to re-add them to my playlist now as like the new album version. So like I can't just like, where I have Let You Know and Control and I Don't Miss You Anymore in my playlist, I don't have Down and Again and For You next to it, when I feel like I should be treating those as new songs,
Right.
given that I am so
Okay, I'm with
unfamiliar
you.
with them.
yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say on this album. There's a chance it grows on me and makes my top 10, but I almost feel like a lot of other bands have to drop the ball for me to solidify this into my end of year top 10 list.
Yeah, there's still
it's sitting
a
there
lot.
now. It could stay there. There's a chance.
I have a feeling it will for me, just on the grounds that, like how Toby was talking about earlier, where like he burnt out on what was that track?
Afterlife.
Yeah, where
Probably.
you listen to it enough that like you kind of started to feel down on it. I've spent a lot of time with this album, and it hasn't lost any of its shine, I guess, to me. So, I mean, we'll see come the end of the year. Obviously, September 17th alone has like 3 album of the year contenders coming out, let alone the rest of the year. But
Yeah.
either way, very, very appreciative of this album. Julian, if you're out there, press it to vinyl, please. I need it. I need it as soon as humanly possible. Yeah, overall, great album, great surprise. Just in general, especially for a debut album. Can't wait to see what else is coming out.